Everyone, RemanX here, and we're going to go through some of the recommendations I'm going to be making for characters to build in this current generation of Marvel Strike Force. Now, today is going to be July 23rd, where we're looking at the Fantastic Four MCU coming into the game, and it is going to be kind of a game changer when we talk about how quickly these characters that have been released post Ares have relegated your entire roster into near obscurity. So let's go through this because we see these power leaps in Marvel Strike Force, and a lot of the character recommendations for building are going to be based on that. And stay tuned because my roster is built very, very tall and thin here. I've been playing the game for years, but back playing this account for about I'll show you guys really quickly. 55 days, 54 days here, and you know what I've accomplished is pretty sizable. You'll see I've got Null in the account and others. So stay tuned. We're going to go through all of this to give you guys a quick heads up on what to build in today's Age of Annihilus. Stay tuned. All right, so if you're looking at your roster, one of the key features that Marvel Strike Force added, which is absolutely excellent, is this Squads tab. Now, why is this important? Well, the Squads tab gives you a snapshot in time of basically the order of release. And so why that's important is you can look through a time machine and go back and look at this very specific period in time that's absolutely vital to understanding what to build now in Marvel Strike Force. So if you look right here, the Annihilators are the first of what we're going to call the PAR characters. They're post-Ares rework and release. PAR, obviously being an abbreviation you'll hear me use a lot if you're watching my stream. But all of these characters have relevance and power that far exceeds characters in their previous. Now, there are a few exceptions. I will say this very, very clearly, that right now, if you want to get the legendaries, now I'm going to say right around level 80, 85 is probably the best time to target Old Man Logan and potentially the Shadow King. Based on most on changes here, you'll see that these events have been changed. If you go to the difficulties here, you'll see I'm doing difficulty 10 with a ton of actual scourges or trials, as we call them, built in. And you'll see this is my team here. Again, it's not quite what I wanted to build, and I'm trying to build them in the most meaningful way for the roster. So there are some exceptions to that, and we're going to go over that specifically as far as what to build. So you'll notice I favored a lot of these teams. What I'll recommend is if you're a new player, simply go back in time on your roster and click on, put a heart on, heart on each one of the characters on your roster by favoriting them to signify where they are. So we'll go over how I got Null in a second and make some recommendations. So these are all what we call the post-Ares rework and release. Now, you'll notice that not all of them are built. So in the current meta, Crucible seems to be more impactful and more fun than doing War. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to perform in War, but your rosters are going to be prioritized in two ways. First, and this is important, you want to always prioritize raids. So, in order of release, with Vigilante being the best of the most recent raid teams, you want to go back in time to the post-Ares release. So now, what about Alpha Flight? Rem, what about Spider Society? Well, while they still have some value, you'll see that some of these characters and teams I haven't even built. I'm able to use my mutant team in the current iteration of raids that I can actually complete without much difficulty. As a matter of fact, Old Man Logan is such an important part of the current raid meta for mutants that I do believe that without him, pushing to the next tier is going to be a big deal. But the Uncanny Avengers are going to be utilized inside of the Spotlight raids, etc. So just remember, Spotlight raids, for the most part, don't open up until level 85 when you can start equipping purple. ISO on characters. So you're not really going to be able to do much other than join the raid and sit there to collect rewards. And you're going to want to find an alliance that allow you to do so. I will say that you know, the most important part about being in an alliance is going to be participation. One good thing about Marvel Strike Force is in the past year or so, they've made it so you can participate as a non maxed out player by simply doing the things you need to do to progress your account. So if you look at this, I'm typically in the top 10 or higher in my alliance and participation on any of these alliance milestones because I'm making sure I'm doing all of the actions required to get those points, which allows me, once you hit level 80, you can join Battle World. And why that's important is, or I mean, it's 75, I believe. 75, you can join Battle World. And why that's important is you will be able to get null shards or sentry shards when they come out by simply doing one attack that does any sort of damage. So usually on the boss, if you do even 1 point of damage, you'll get 1 point, which will allow you to get the overall rewards. You won't get the wave clear rewards from the previous tiers because you're not going to be clearing raids if your alliance is doing the tier 5. So again, I don't even have my Astral team built up because I cannot justify that on the roster. Right now, we are stuck behind an economy of really a lack of training mats, a lack of tier 4s, which, believe it or not, many of these characters, and we're probably going to do a per character review of every character in Marvel Strike Force going forward. We're going to start with the most recent releases and going back in time to some of the older ones, where we're going to review these characters as a standalone on their team, what T4s are absolutely essential, even beyond what Jarvis does in game, because some of these characters' T4s make them vital to their performance. So if you're a new player, all you really have to do is simply go into your roster, go back into the squad, start with the raids, get these characters up to a performative number here, and then you're building up for Crucible teams. Again, I do have, you saw Phoenix, the Phoenixes on my squad. I will say that that's going to be a problem for some players. It's one of those epic characters that go into a rotation that we have no idea when it repeats. So it does give me an extra Crucible attack team that allows me to get things done. But again, another set of T4s that are draining my ability. So if you look at Chaotic Storm, this is important. Now, I don't think this is something that's actually really signified in game. Is if you look, and I want to attack the next node. Now remember, if I switch devices, so I was on my phone earlier, I have to change the difficulty. So the thing about it is, right around each window, you'll be able to tell what you can do. And you want to try to do the highest performance you can each time you go into the raid. Now you may have different teams built up at different levels. You can adjust these as you go. So for the most part, once you hit level 75, you can start, especially because of the power characters, you can start pushing the difficulty 2. You will not be able to do difficulty 3 for quite some time. Again, you're going to need to really get these characters to G16 or higher. And you may want to play the nodes, specifically teams like Orcus and teams like Vigilante perform the best if you're trying to punch up here. But with these purple ISO and the diamonds, they hit like a truck. So you have to know how the teams work, and you want a fully functional raid team that's designed to help counter some of these abilities here. And again, that's with T4s. So really, difficulty 2 and then difficulty 3 you can start attempting when you get to 85 and start building your roster into Teal 16, because you're facing G17 with multiple tiers of ISO on it, some purple as well. So 4 and 5 are obviously for more for the end game, and you get more points for your alliance and more rewards based on the current tier of gear. So you should be doing difficulty 2 while you're at this level, because you'll get some teal gear, but you also get the elite orbs. Again, there's so much to build in Marvel Strike Force that if you're a new player, returning player, it can be confusing. Now, we talked a little bit about the squad. So currently I'm working on finishing Old Man Logan I'm going to try different approaches to the unlock to get the 1.1 million points to unlock the character. When I finalize what I think is the best option, which right now I'm focusing on just building my out of time team. And the reason why I say that is because by focusing on a character like Black Knight, who still has somewhat usage inside of game modes, that I will probably be able to push without having to build up Cabal at all. Even though Cabal is a fun team that has some value to really empower your offense, especially with villains, you don't get the same effect as if just putting him on defense. Now again, you have to realize that Black Knight is probably specifically called out on almost every single team by a character that removes charges. All right, so you'll see that there are many characters in multiple game modes that remove charges now to specifically deal with Black Knight. Okay, all that being said, Black Knight out of time for your Old Man Logan unlock, and if it holds true, Illuminati for the Shadow King unlock. So if we can get these two unlocks without having to build the other associated team that's required, it's probably better, since they both have additional value in the game system, in the game. So again, it's really important to understand that many of these characters don't have to be maxed out to get through where you are. You'll notice I don't even have Hyperion built beyond the level, mainly because he actually gets a lot of his defense from other characters. Bringing Victoria Hand up has allowed me to get some healing. Again, they're just 3-star, no reds. So it isn't out of the realm of reason that you're able just to simply build these characters and get them to the point where you're able to use them inside of raids. So I have a lot more new player stuff coming very soon. We're going to talk about how to use your currencies inside the game, what to focus on, and prioritize when you're buying your characters, how to utilize the Intel store and then the Season 2 store going forward. We're going to watch for changes very, very soon. And then finally, understanding the value of your shop credits. Now, shop credits are probably the most universal asset you will deplete really, really quickly as you may overbuild some of the characters that you want, and you want to try to keep probably about 130k. Now you will get about 12k every, I want to say, 8 hours if you're farming the Act 1 nodes on the incursion or on the showcase events. The Act 1 has the shop credits, so that is an easy way to start. All right, that's it, guys. We're gonna go through more, but again, par characters, post Ares rework, post Ares release, specifically focusing on raids, Crucible, and those are going to be your attack teams for war. So you're going to be able to do nice, clean attacks, be able to help out your alliance, because a lot of these characters are very, very powerful, despite only being designed for other game modes. All right, guys, stay tuned for more. I do things so you don't have to, and I am completely 100% free to play forever. See you soon.